Now that all that's out of the way, I think you guys deserve a bit of an explanation, or for me to talk a bit more about these two. So, let me introduce you to them again. The black one there is Bear, and the white one there is Cece. And fun fact, I think Cece is part wolf, which you can assume when you look at her, in case you're wondering how, because there's no wolves here in England. Another fun fact, they're not from England, they're actually from Romania. So, there you go. And here I'm just gonna give a little talk about mostly where they came from, their origins, and a little more explanation of like what's going on with them. So I'll start off with where they came from. So I don't know every last little detail, but I can tell you that they did come from Romania, as I already said, and they were found wandering around the streets in Romania. And there was a very nice lady who woke up at 4 o'clock every morning to feed them. And eventually they expected her there and expected food from her. And this went on for a while until eventually they were taken in by kennels, and they were brought into kennels, and everybody loved them. I think the lady was still around them and paying them visits. But then eventually winter came, and apparently they couldn't survive another cold winter in Romania. I don't know how cold it is off there, but they then came over to here, where they were placed into tendercare rescue, which I had... excuse me, I'm stuttering. I work, quote unquote, work at tendercare rescue as a placement for my college. And long story short, I do an animal management college course. I need 150 hours of work, so I do 5 hours of work on Tuesday once a week there. So now that's out of the way, they've been there from what I can assume was November, judging by a Facebook post introducing them, which was in November. They could have been there longer, but I don't know. So anyway, then they started to live in tendercare rescue. And first time I noticed them was when I was sent to work in the rescue block, and that's where I found them. And obviously Bear especially caught my eye the most because he looked so much like a puppy, and I even asked if he was a Tibetan Mastiff because he looked like a puppy, and even though he was bigger than the others. So I asked, and apparently he wasn't, and they're both 9 years old, and I just couldn't believe it. And I was lucky enough for the next 4 weeks or 3 weeks to go into the rescue block and clean their kennels along with a few others. And first week I was there, the owner, who I'm just going to call my boss because it's less of a mouthful then. So my boss then sat in their kennel with us, stroking them and telling us about how they came from Romania or from a river. I'm not sure I was told if they were from Romania at that point. And I ended up believing that not long ago they were unable to be adopted, because I might have heard this wrong, or my memory's a bit mixed up, but I'm pretty sure she said that they have to find a home soon. And after hearing that, I thought, what's going to happen? Are they going to be put down or something? Then they were placed in this spot called the terrace, which I thought I heard was for dogs that couldn't be adopted anymore, but apparently not. But anyways, obviously I adored both of them, especially Bear. And one day, I don't know specifically how it started, I assume it just started from a joke saying, how about we adopt these two, they seem like they could have a good home. And then most likely that eventually just evolved into us actually considering adopting them. So then one day we decided we're going to go in and see what they're like. So we went in and they were moved into the kennels, where we obviously had to check a couple of things. We had to check if they shedded. Cece did shed a lot, but she's better now. And my mum obviously had to pretty much shove her face into their fur to see if she was allergic. Thankfully she wasn't, and for a few weeks she would go over to the tendercare every day and give them a walk, and they loved it. And obviously they loved getting pets from us. They were more people kind of dogs, and the kind of dogs that don't really like other dogs. Bear especially, I've had trouble with him for the past week and 2 days, with him just barking at dogs that pass by while we're on a walk. I mean, even if they're 100 feet away, quite literally 100 feet away, he still barks at them. So that's fun. Cece is more calm, but still doesn't like other dogs. I mean, she doesn't bark, but if she sees herself in the reflection, she'll look and sniff for a bit, and then eventually she'll start barking. She's been upstairs a few times accidentally, even because we have curtains at the bottom of them, but she's smart enough to maneuver her way past them. And she got upstairs, went into my brother's room, and he has massive mirrors for wardrobe doors, and obviously that wasn't a good thing. And exactly what I just said happened. She stood there, she sniffed and just looked, and then she barked while also baring her teeth. And don't worry, they haven't caused any harm to themselves or any other parts of my house, but I mean, they're just nutcases, really. But still settle and still need to give them just a little bit more time. But anyways, then after what I can assume is like 3 weeks maybe of walking them and getting to know them, we still thought maybe we should adopt them. We were still just discussing it. And then eventually we actually did start preparing to take them in. But by that point I kept saying we're still just discussing it, as to not to make it a guarantee. And to start off with, we had to put some extensions on our gate because I think they'll jump over it, even though I'm not really sure they can, but we had to do that anyways. But now the winds completely destroyed the fence. But getting new ones, it's just a whole hassle. I mean, we never let them out the house without a lead anyways. But anyways, after that, we then decided to take them in by fostering them, actually, instead of adopting them, because adopting them would be extremely expensive. And if anybody wants to know the difference, I don't really know if there's much of a difference, but apparently it means that we don't own them, and the tendercare owner, my boss, she owns them instead. So if anything wrong happens, like they go off the leash and they get lost, she has to deal with it. So just fingers crossed they won't get lost. But anyways, then one day we came in, getting ready to take them. I had to sit in the middle of the car and keep them both by my side on the things. And Bear just completely was fine with it. He just lay down the entire way. Cece was a bit more skittish, but I assume she'd never been on a car ride before. The exact day before that we actually took them, Bear was sent to the vet to get a little check-up on these lumps on his hips. And in case anybody wants to know what they are, actually nobody really does, because when he was taken to the vet they couldn't tell what it was. There was an option of doing a couple of tests, stem cell stuff, and cutting them open and seeing what's inside, but that would be very expensive, and it's not good to cut open an old dog, and apparently if you get the stem cell thing, there's a chance it'll just come back inconclusive. But they thought that it's very, very unlikely that it would be anything cancerous. And they said there was a chance that it's just maybe scar tissue when he got caught on, like, I don't know, some barbed wire while they were in the wild. That was a tongue twister. But anyways, so you would already have been used to car rides at that point. And that's where that image beforehand came to be. But anyways, when we took them in our new home, they were obviously just very confused and looking about all over the place and wondering what was going on. And Bear is actually, well, was and still is creeped out by the tiles. He refused to step over them. He jumps over them. He sprints over them. And even though he has walked over them completely fine before, he's just a bit of an imbecile, I think. He's just I mean, there is a chance that it's probably like something traumatizing from when he was in the wild, but I mean, like, I can't really think of any possible situation where he can get traumatized by tiles, but comment down below what you think. I think he's just a little bit numb up in his skull. Because, I mean, Cece is completely fine with tiles, and I think she's smarter out of the two of them. I mean, God knows, maybe Bear's just smarter and lazy, but like Cece's made some like smart decisions before. So just getting past the curtains, and you might think that's not very big of a feat of intelligence. Keep in mind, Winston, we've had over our house for like 3 weeks in total, and I think he's only ever just managed to figure out how to get past the curtains sometime later when he's more experienced with our house. So she seems pretty smart, actually. And when they got into our house, they settled in pretty fast. Bear automatically found his space in the bed, so we got them, and he's just lying down and he snores, actually. Comment down below if any of your dogs snore. But then Cece didn't settle in too well. I mean, she is completely fine and she's still like settling in good and she is comfortable. It's just like, if you notice in the video, she kind of, at first she slept in what's called the Superman pose, with her arms out in front and her legs tucked underneath, with her ears propped up, meaning that she's listening for anything and she's ready to jump up if anything goes after her. But she settled in, she's fine, she's in her bed, lying down, nice and happy, on her side, stretching out. She's completely fine as well. She might still have some doubts about the place, but I mean, she's still settling in great. And pretty much nothing new has been happening since then. I mean, just trying to get into a normal routine, learning from our mistakes. I mean, not really mistakes per se, just like knowing what's best for them. And here's a little thing for anybody who considers getting a new dog. I mean, you don't have to listen to this, but this is just our scheduling for these specific dogs. And keep in mind that the scheduling is for the old dogs that they are. They're 9 years old, so if you're getting a dog that's like 4 maybe. But I mean, if you want to listen, listen. If you don't, then don't. But schedule is that 6 in the morning, take them out for a small walk. Emphasis on small. It's simply just to let them have their wheeze and poos and just bring them back in as soon as they're finished. And then do pretty much whatever you want. And then every 3 or 4 hours, take them for a normal walk. Since Bear and Cece are old, we take them for about 15-minute walks, which might sound little, but when you consider we take them out for like 3 or 4 a day, then it might actually be just enough for them. And we feed them about, well, most of a snack at about 10 o'clock. We give them 50 grams of kibble and a bit of pate, which is just ground up wet food. And you don't have to use the pate or wet food, but we do because their teeth aren't exactly the best, which is not a health condition, but it's just because they're old and that. And they just love it. They love eating it, and they're completely fine with it. I gave them some earlier before recording this, and they ate every bite. And that should last them until tea time, which is around 5 o'clock, where we give them 175 to 200 grams of kibble. We use Harrington's in case you were wondering. So if you're struggling on what food source to give your dogs, give Harrington's a go and see if they like it. It's completely healthy. I think it's reasonably priced, so go ahead and give it a try if you want. And then we mix that in with some pate and half a can of wet food. As in, for one entire bowl, we give them 175 to 120 grams of kibble, then 1/4 little box thing of pate in that one bowl, and then half a can of wet food, which is about 200 grams. And then we repeat the same thing for the other. So an entire can is used, an entire box of pate, half a box of pate is used, and then that'll last them until tomorrow, in which case we then give them like a walk, maybe an hour after that, which is another normal walk, a normal 15-minute walk, and then leave them to do whatever they want. And then around 10 o'clock or 9:45, somewhere around 10, we're going to take them out for another very short walk just to let them empty themselves before night, which will mean they'll be holding in whatever they have for about 8 hours before then going outside to have another break. And if you're wondering if I play with them or not, we don't really. They're not very playful dogs. We specifically got them because we figured that they'd be low maintenance kind of dogs, and thankfully they are. And you might think that it's just me being lazy. Sorry about that, my iPad storage was full and I had to take care of that, but I'll just make this a little quicker. As I was saying, it might just sound like I'm being lazy, but we're kind of busy. And if we got a more high maintenance dog, then it wouldn't last for some of the days, like Thursday and Friday, where I'm in almost the entire day at college. So we need to get something low maintenance, and thankfully they are. They don't ask for much. If they want a pet, they just simply walk over to you and just sit there. Most of the day, they pretty much just sleep, like literally just sleep. And the only time they get up and they're super excited is when either we're giving them food or when we take them out for a walk. It makes this funny noise which sounds like a mix between a growl and a whine whenever we're getting those ready. He's so excited. But the past week and 2 days has just been, pretty calm and no real trouble. I mean, we had to put newspaper sheets on our fridge because they kept barking at their reflection. But apart from that, it's completely fine. So I'll go on a little bit about where they came from, as in tendercare. So tendercare is, of course, my placement, and I work there. And my 150 hours of work is almost up, but I plan on volunteering there still. And for anybody who's nearby, go ahead and search it up. Please, at least give it a try. Give volunteering there a try. I mean, the least you can do is walk a few dogs. Every little bit helps, but you don't have to. You don't have to do what I say, but please at least volunteer once there, just for a day, just for a week even. You could just do what I do, and whatever spare day you have, spend just a few hours there dog walking. I actually clean kennels. I'm not sure if volunteers are allowed to do that, but if you can, give it a try. And I promise you'll fall in love with the place and the dogs there. I surely have. I started hating every day I went in there because I thought it was dirty, picking up dog poo and cleaning all the kennels, and I just started to love the place. And clearly we fell in love with 2 of the dogs as well and took them in. And my mum kept joking on saying she's surprised it took this long. And to be honest, now I am 4 months, and we just now decide to adopt a dog from there. But even if you don't want to volunteer, at least if you're looking for a new dog, go ahead and have a look there. These dogs are completely canny. They're lovely. They got puppies, they got adult dogs, or if you just want a old dog like mine, they've got them there. They've got dogs that deserve a good home. And if you can give them a good home and you want to give them a good home, go ahead and check it out. They completely deserve it. So please, by all means, if you absolutely do not want to, if you hate dogs or something like that, you do not have to take my word for it, but please at least give it a try. And I think that's about all that I have to say here. So I would like you to welcome Bear and Cece to the family. And we hope that they live a nice long life. And in case any of you are wondering, we have no idea what breed they are. They are mongrels. We don't know what the hell they are. Nobody does. But anyway, like, subscribe, comment down below what kind of your dream dog is, and if you have any. And please check out tendercare. Please at least volunteer or get a dog. If not, you can donate any leftover stuff you have. If you have any blankets that you haven't used in years, go ahead and please give them to the tendercare. Some of the dogs there could use it to stay warm on the night. And I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye. It's only been 1 hour. I'm already just settled in. CC's. Did I disturb you? I like that little Dwayne Johnson eyebrow raise.